She spent millions of naira to get a big nyash. Every man wanted her. But what happened next will shock you.
In the old town of Olowu, people believed that every human being arrived in the world already measured by destiny. Some were born short, some tall, some soft, some hard. To reject one's body was believed to be the same as rejecting the hands that molded it. But Amara did not believe that. Amara was slim, unusually slim for a young woman in Olowu. Her legs were long, her shoulders straight, her back flat. When she walked, she moved with a quiet firmness that turned heads, though not always in admiration. As a child, she had been called Auntie Giraffe. As a teenager, Stick Woman. As a grown woman, silence followed her. Men noticed her, but rarely approached. Amara's body spoke a language people did not understand. And so, she hated it. Every insult she had ever had slept inside her chest, waking whenever she stood before a mirror. She pulled at her wrapper, turned sideways, pressed her palms against her hips as if she could mold flesh by force. "Why am I like this?" she whispered many nights. Her mother often watched her with quiet worry. Mama Amara was respected in Olowu. She was calm-spoken and she was the keeper of the Women's Contribution Fund, money gathered weekly by the women of the community. It was called Ajo Yalu, a trust meant for sickness, burial rites, weddings and emergencies. The money was not hers. It belonged to everyone. Amara knew all this. She also knew where the box was kept. Everything changed the day Raliat returned from the city. Raliat had grown up in Olowu thin, quiet and often mocked. When she left for Lagos years ago, no one noticed. When she returned, no one could ignore her. Her hips announced her arrival before her voice did. Her backside filled her wrapper proudly, round and firm like ripe fruit. Men stared openly. Women pretended not to. "Ah, city life has blessed you," they said. That night, Amara lay awake staring at the ceiling as jealousy wrapped itself around her heart. She found Raliat the next evening by the roadside. "What did you do to your body?" Amara asked quietly. Raliat smiled, slow and confident. "I corrected it." "How?" "BBL." The word sounded foreign and dangerous. "A small surgery," Raliat explained. "They move flesh from where you don't need it to where you do." "Is it safe?" Amara asked. Raliat shrugged. "Nothing worth having is fully safe." That sentence planted a seed. From that day, Amara's hatred for her body grew teeth. She avoided gatherings, she folded herself into corners, yet her mind burned with images of curves, attention, desire. At night, she pressed her hands against her hips until they ached. "If I can just change this," she thought, "everything will change." She began to search quietly, listening to gossip, collecting whispers. That was how she heard of Dr. Bright, a man in a nearby town who fixed bodies without hospital stress. No long queue, no big money, just quick work. Amara visited him alone. Dr. Bright operated from behind a beer parlor in a town where desperation often wore the mask of opportunity. He wore a white coat that smelt of sweat and chemicals and spoke with borrowed confidence. "I have done many," he assured her. "City girls, village girls, even married women." "How much?" Amara asked. When he told her, her chest tightened. It was more money than she had ever owned. She left without answering, but her mind was already racing. That night, she stared at the ceiling again. Then she thought of the wooden box. Amara fought the thought at first. "That money is not mine," she told herself. "It belongs to widows, to sick children." But the mirror argued back. "How long will you suffer?" it asked. "How long will you be invisible?" She promised herself she would return the money. "Just borrowing," she said aloud. Before dawn, while the house slept, Amara knelt before the wooden box. Her hands trembled as she lifted the lid. The money lay there quietly, bundled with trust. For a moment, she hesitated. Then she took it. Amara left Olowu before sunrise. Her heart beat wildly as the bus bounced along the dusty road. Each mile carried her farther from her mother, from tradition, from forgiveness. Dr. Bright smiled when he saw the money. He said, "You have chosen happiness." The room where the procedure would happen was small, poorly lit, and smelt of spirit and old blood. There was no nurse, no proper equipment, only faith in a man who was not a doctor. As Amara lay on the narrow bed, fear crept into her chest. "Will I be okay?" she asked. Dr. Bright adjusted his gloves. Beauty always comes with pain. The injection entered her body. Darkness followed.
Amara woke up slowly. At first, there was only silence. Then came the dull ache, deep, stretching, unfamiliar. Her eyes fluttered open, adjusting to the dim room. For a moment, fear seized her heart. But when she tried to move, her body obeyed. She was alive. When he noticed her eyes were open, he forced a smile. "You are strong," he said. "Everything went well." Amara swallowed. Did it work? Instead of answering, he helped her sit up slightly and turned a cracked mirror toward her. Her breath caught. She could see it, the curve where there had once been none. For the first time in her life, she loved her body. Recovery took weeks. Amara stayed hidden until her wounds closed and her strength returned. When she finally stepped out into the sun again, Olowu did not recognize her. Her hips swayed naturally now. Her backside filled her wrapper proudly. Her waist curved like a calabash carved by skilled hands. People stared. Women whispered. Men smiled too long. "Amara," someone asked, disbelief thick in their voice. She smiled and said nothing. The mirror was no longer her enemy. She visited it often, admiring herself from every angle, adjusting her clothes to reveal what she once hid. Pride settled into her heart quietly, like a guest who planned to stay. Mama Amara noticed the change, but asked no questions. She simply smiled. Amara accepted the praise without guilt. Each compliment fed her ego. Each admiring glance erased a little more of her conscience. The stolen money became a small problem in her mind, an old problem already solved. "I will return it later," she thought. "After all, look at me now." But later never came. Suitors arrived. Some brought kola nuts. Others came with gifts and promises. Men who once ignored Amara now competed for her attention. She laughed, teased, rejected them slowly, enjoying the power she had never known. The same women who once pitied her now watched her with envy. "She walks like she owns the ground," one whispered. And indeed, Amara did. She stopped attending community meetings. She dressed louder, spoke sharper, laughed at warnings. Beauty had not softened her, it had hardened her. One evening, as Amara danced at a gathering, a sudden pain shot through her lower back. It was brief, sharp, then gone. She dismissed it. "Nothing," she said, waving it off. "Maybe stress." Meanwhile, Mama Amara opened the contribution box to prepare money for a widow's burial. Her hands froze. The box was lighter. She counted once, twice, 3 times. Her heart dropped. The money was missing. Slowly, dread crawled into her bones. Only one person knew where the box was kept: Amara. Outside, laughter echoed from where Amara sat with admirers, unaware that the ground beneath her beauty had already begun to crack. Mama Amara did not confront Amara immediately. She sat alone in her room that night, the wooden contribution box resting before her like a silent judge. She opened it again, even though she already knew the truth. The emptiness inside it echoed loudly in her chest. Mama Amara covered her face and wept, not loudly, but deeply, the kind of crying that shakes the soul without sound. She did not want to believe her daughter could do such a thing, yet the signs were too clear to ignore. Amara had returned suddenly with beauty that money could buy. The truth stood naked before her. At dawn, called Amara into her room. "Where did you get the money you used to change your body?" "I borrowed it." The word fell heavy. "Borrowed? Borrowed money that belongs to the whole community?" "I was going to return it. I needed it more than anyone at that time." "That money was not yours to need, Amara. You have called trouble into this house. I did not raise you to be proud." Amara said nothing. Pride sealed her mouth. Secrets do not live long in Olowo. By evening, the women had noticed Mama Sade's swollen eyes. Whispers moved like harmattan fire from mouth to mouth. By the next market day, the truth surfaced. Amara had stolen the community contribution money. The reaction was swift. Women who once smiled at her turned their backs. Men who once chased her avoided her eyes. Children stopped greeting her. At the next gathering, the elders summoned Mama Amara. "You were trusted," the oldest woman said, tapping her walking stick on the ground. "Trust once broken does not heal easily." Mama Amara cried, her wrapper soaked with tears. "Punish me," she begged. "I will sell my land if I must, but spare the community shame." The elders agreed, but the debt had to be paid in full. Amara refused to attend the meeting. She said, "Let them talk. Look at me, Mama. Am I not better now?" But that night, the pain returned. This time, it lingered. A dull ache settled in her lower back, spreading slowly to her hips. She winced but forced a smile. "Nothing," she whispered. "Nothing can spoil this." Still, sleep avoided her. Amara began to stumble when she walked. Her once admired sway became uneven. A strange heat rose in her hips at night, followed by cold shivers by morning. One afternoon, while Amara woke up, she noticed something strange. Her hips were bleeding, almost stiff. She pressed it. She felt unbearable pain. Fear gripped her. But pride does not allow fear to speak loudly.
She told herself the pain was normal, part of healing, part of adjustment. After all, change always came with discomfort, didn't it? That was what Dr. Bright had said. That was what the internet article she secretly read insisted. But this pain was different. Amara would wake suddenly, her heart racing, sweat soaking her nightdress, her hands pressed tightly against her body. She stopped dancing at gatherings. She stopped laughing freely. People noticed. Every Sunday she stayed back, staring at the ceiling, replaying the moment she opened the contribution box. The money had not screamed. It had not resisted. Yet now it felt louder than any accusation. "You will return it," she whispered to herself. "Soon." But soon never came. One Sunday evening, she forced herself to attend the midweek service. The church was quiet, lit softly by yellow bulbs. The pastor preached from the book of Luke, his voice calm but firm. "What does it profit a man," he read, "to gain the whole world and lose his soul?" Amara stiffened. Every word felt directed at her. He spoke of beauty that fades and pride that blinds. Her hips throbbed painfully. She left before the closing prayer. The pain became heavier. Her hips no longer felt like part of her body, but like weight she was carrying. Sometimes they felt numb. Other times, they burned deeply as though something inside was inflamed. Amara tried calling Dr. Bright. No answer. She sent messages. They remained unread. Panic crept into her chest. She went to the clinic where he had once operated. The beer parlor still stood. The room behind it was empty. Dr. Bright had disappeared. For the first time, tears fell freely. The smell came subtly. At first, Amara thought it was sweat. She bathed more often, used stronger perfume, but nothing masked it for long. People began to step back unconsciously. She noticed. Shame burned hotter than pain. At night, she knelt beside her bed for the first time in months. God, she whispered, her voice shaking, I only wanted to feel worthy. The room stayed silent, but her conscience did not. Amara could no longer hide it. The pain that once visited only at night had taken permanent residence in her body. People stopped complimenting her. They started asking questions. Constant. One morning, the pain forced her hand. Amara went to the government hospital in the next town. When the doctor finally examined her, his expression changed. Who did this procedure? He asked. She hesitated. That's not important, she said quickly. Can it be fixed? The doctor sighed. You are dealing with complications, serious ones. Infection, tissue damage, possibly necrosis. The word sounded foreign and deadly. What does that mean? She whispered. It means if treatment is delayed, parts of the tissue may die. Her heart pounded. Can you save me? He met her eyes. We can try, but it will cost money. Her stomach dropped. The contribution money was gone. Amara left the hospital in a daze and walked straight to church. It was empty. She sat on the front pew and cried like a child, her shoulders shaking violently. I lied, she said aloud. I stole. I was proud. Her confession echoed in the empty hall. She called the pastor. When he arrived, she told him everything, every detail she had buried under pride and beauty. He listened quietly. When she finished, he said only one thing. Sin always promises gain, it always delivers loss. The pastor advised her to confess publicly. Not to shame you, he said gently, but to free you. The following Sunday, Amara stood before the congregation, trembling. Her beauty could not hide her fear. I lied, she said, her voice breaking. I stole community money. I used it to change my body. Gas filled the room. I am sick, and I deserve whatever judgment comes. I only ask for forgiveness. Silence followed. Then murmurs. Some faces hardened, others softened. But the truth was finally out. The community agreed to help, but with conditions. Amara would return every kobo. She would face discipline. She would accept whatever medical outcome followed. Church members contributed money, not to beautify her again, but to save her life. She was admitted for surgery the next day. Before the operation, the surgeon spoke plainly. We may have to remove what was added to save you. You may not look the same again. Amara closed her eyes. For the first time, she said softly, I don't care how I look. The operating theater was cold. Amara lay still on the narrow bed, dressed in thin hospital cloth. Machines beeped steadily around her, each sound reminding her that this was no longer about beauty. It was about survival. Hours later, the surgery ended. The doctors removed infected tissue, drained abscesses, and reversed as much of the unsafe procedure as possible.
What remained was not the body Amara once celebrated, but it was alive. When she woke, pain greeted her first, then clarity. Recovery was slow. Amara spent weeks in the hospital, then months healing at home. The church stood by its word. They helped her with care. When she got better, she worked to repay every cent she had stolen from the contribution box. One morning, months later, Amara stood before a mirror again. The reflection was different, plainer, scarred, softer in ways beauty had never taught her. She did not turn away. "I am still here," she said quietly. And this time, the mirror did not argue. When Amara eventually returned to church, it was not as a spectacle. When she was invited to share her testimony, she did not speak of surgery or curves. She spoke of contentment. Amara never became famous. She never became admired the way she once was. But she became whole.
I used to stand before the mirror, counting every flaw I see, wishing I was someone else, forgetting who you made me be. Every line, every difference, every inch you carefully planned. I traded truth for comparison, till I forgot I'm in your hands. You whispered softly to my heart, "Child, you're already enough." I'm learning to love me just as I am. Not taller, not smaller, not changed by man. I won't break myself to fit their frame. I am wonderfully and fearfully made by God. I don't need a different shape to stand. I'm beautiful now, just as I am.